2023 meeting of the School Performance and Accountability Committee of the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. A link has been provided on the Commission website for the public to view this meeting. Before we begin today, Hayden, can you take a roll call of the commissioners?
Commissioner Richards.
Here.
Commissioner Teeter.
Here.
Commissioner Grissom.
Here.
Chairman Richards, you have quorum.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners before we begin?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we recess the committee and we will come back into session after the completion of the Rules Committee's work.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor to recess the committee until after the meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee. Do I have a second?
Support.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The committee stands in recess until the conclusion of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee.
Welcome to the July 27, 2023 meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee of the Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. A link has been provided on the Commission website for the public to view this meeting. Do we have any opening comments from commissioners? Okay, hearing none. Hayden, do you mind please calling the roll?
Commissioner Patterson.
Here.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Levine.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have quorum.
Okay, thank you, Hayden. And since our last meeting, we have had a change in the membership of this committee. Wendy Tucker, who has served on the commission since it was formed, has rolled off of the commission. And I'd like to thank her for her service to the state and to this committee, because I know she is somewhere watching. I also would like to welcome a new member of the commission, Lauren Smith, who will be representing Middle Tennessee and was appointed by Governor Lee at the beginning of the month. We're glad to have her join the commission as well as this committee. That said, she's absent from the committee meeting because of a prior commitment, but we do look forward to working with her. Well, Alan, I do. I presume you also are looking forward to working with
I do
on the
too.
committee.
I look forward to the three of us working together.
The next item on our agenda today will be a discussion and vote on proposed changes to several LEA policies on first and final reading. I'd like to recognize our General Counsel, Ashley Thomas, to describe the proposed changes.
Doing with the prior amendment.
Oh, wait, you know what? Wait a minute. I think I missed the page.
5 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. We need to do the agenda first. I apologize. We'll go back before we do that. So first, we have 3 items on our agenda today. The first will be a proposed update to Commission Policy 1.100 on first reading. And then the next are proposed updates to several LEA policies on first and final reading. And finally, will be a discussion on the election of commission officers. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on the agenda before we vote to approve? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda first?
This is my favorite part. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chair.
I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the agenda is approved. Next, the minutes of the committee meeting held on March 23rd, 2023 have been provided. Does anyone have any edits to make regarding the prior minutes before we proceed?
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the minutes.
There a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. The first item on our agenda today will be a discussion and a vote on the proposed changes to Commission Policy 1.100 on first reading. I'd like to recognize now our General Counsel, Ashley Thomas, to describe the proposed changes.
Thank you, Chairman. So the first policy up, so as commission business continues to grow, Chair Griscom and I conversed about efforts that the commission can take to ensure quorum throughout committee meetings. And to that end, policy 1.1, I've introduced language to add ex officio members to each committee. The policy change would state that the vice chair of the commission would serve as an ex officio member for all committees for purposes of maintaining quorum and transacting business. And then additionally, I've drafted language that would permit any committee chair to name an additional member other than the commission chair, I know that gets confusing, as an ex officio member for the purposes of maintaining quorum.
Thank you, Ashley. Commissioners or Adam, is there?
Just a quick question. So the latter part with are you saying like in the middle, so for instance, we're at a meeting and there's not a quorum, the chair of the committee can name someone as another member of the commission other than the chair as an ex officio member for that meeting?
For that meeting, yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, you need a motion?
Yes, we do need a motion to recommend adoption of the changes to commission policy 1.100.
I make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the policy is recommended to the full commission. Now, the next item on our agenda is a discussion vote on proposed changes to several LEA policies on first and final reading. I'd like to again recognize General Counsel to describe the proposed changes.
Absolutely. First, let me give a huge shout out to the entire team for their work the last couple of months for these LEA policies. We worked diligently to conduct our annual review. So I prepared for this committee's review the substantive edits, which will reflect updates based on legislative updates, as well as the staff due diligence review. So I've prepared a summary document for the committee to review, and I'd like to go through that at this time. And please stop me as I go through for any discussion or edits you feel are necessary. So the first one is LEA Policy 2200, which changes the adoption of an annual budget from July 1st to June 30th, and that's just to coincide with the fiscal calendar. LEA Policy 2400, move the semi-annual reporting requirement, we move that to an as-needed basis. LEA Policy 2402 removes the annual reporting requirement that is regarding the investment of funds. LEA Policy 3201 deals with school safety. This requires charter schools to provide school safety plans to local law enforcement, the Department of Education, and the Department of Safety by July 1st. And I also removed duplicative language regarding safety instruction. This was in regards to a legislative update. LEA Policy 3202 requires charter schools to conduct one incident command and one emergency bus drill annually. LEA Policy 3400 deals with transportation, and it removed a reference that had BEP funding, removed that and changed it to TISA funding. LEA Policy 4206 adds clarification regarding homebound placement for students with disabilities and removes language related to COVID-19 quarantine. LEA Policy 4212 also removes language that was related to COVID-19 quarantine. LEA Policy 4400 introduced language regarding school library requirements. LEA Policy 4406 introduced 2 additional technology filters that the charter school policies are required to address. LEA Policy 4502 requires charter schools to inform parents of their rights to review all surveys, analyses, and evaluations. LEA Policy 4603 sets forth requirements surrounding 3rd grade promotion and retention in alignment with legislative updates, and it introduces additional reports to be submitted by charter schools. And finally, it clarifies state assessment scoring weights for grades 3 through 5. LEA Policy 5118 establishes that charter school leaders are responsible for ensuring that each employee at their school that's responsible for criminal history record information, that they are properly trained and that they are timely trained. LEA Policy 6303 adds a requirement that charter school leaders must also notify the director of schools for commission purposes, that would be our executive director, of any assault, battery, or vandalism endangering life, health, or safety committed by a student on school property immediately. LEA Policy 6309 introduces threatening mass violence on school property or at a school-related activity as a zero tolerance offense. LEA Policy 6317 allows the head of the charter school to modify zero tolerance expulsion. LEA policy 6400 introduces language that would permit the administration of anti-seizure medication by properly trained staff in an emergency situation. LEA policy 6403 requires charter schools to provide parents and guardians with information about meningococcal disease and influenza at the beginning of every school year. LEA policy 6409 requires charter schools to submit the child abuse coordinator's contact information to DCS and the commission by September 30th of each school year. LEA policy 6500 requires charter schools who administer isolation or physical restraint to a student receiving SPED services to report that incident immediately. It requires the observation and evaluation of that student within a reasonable time, and it requires the creation of a record regarding the isolation and restraint of a student receiving SPED services in TN Pulse. And the final policy is LEA policy 6600, which would require charter schools to receive parents or guardians' written, informed, and voluntarily signed consent prior to a student's participation in a survey, analysis, or evaluation. Those are the policies that I've drafted. If the committee has any questions or comments on the policies.
Are there any questions or comments?
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm not on the committee. You go
That's
ahead.
okay, you're allowed.
I just have one, which is on the 6400. Is administration of anti-seizure medicine, is this worded broadly enough to allow the administration of Narcan or other opioid alleviating medications if needed?
I don't believe that's the exact language from the statute, which is where I pulled the policy language from, but I will check that and report out at the full commission meeting tomorrow.
Thank you.
So just so I'm clear, this language, all of this merely aligns with state statute.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve. Did you have a question? I'm sorry, go ahead. Here, go ahead, Eddie.
And actually, this is more on policy 3201, school safety. Has there been any discussion in light of the Covenant School shooting that one of the things that be provided to all parents at the beginning of the school year is in case of an incident where parents should go rather than trying to come to the school because you don't want to impede ambulance traffic, law enforcement, that could also put other lives at jeopardy in case of what we saw at Covenant School. So has any of that been part of the discussion around school safety?
Okay, so I'll start and then I'll turn it over to our executive director. I will say that the language I introduced came from the statute, and so that particular consideration was not discussed among myself and staff, but Tess may have further clarification.
Sure, Tess Stovall. As a part of each school's school safety plan, parent reunification and locations and communication is a requirement of the school safety plan. One of the things that we're going to talk about in the school performance and accountability committee is how we are providing additional supports to schools around school safety and using our site visits as more touch points around school safety. So the answer is yes, it's in the plan, but also it can be in the plan, but how is that communicated to parents and stakeholders? And so we are going to be leaning in more with our schools to make sure that is happening.
And this is more a statement than a question. I would just say, given that we just had a panel and that adorable student sat up here, and the first thing she talked about was her own safety, I think this is something we ought to probably talk more about at another meeting, at a follow-up meeting, just so we learn and get more, I think, understanding of what are the safety issues from a student's perspective. Obviously, we can't do anything about what's going on in the neighborhood and the community, but from the moment they're on their way to school, what is it that's in our purview to make sure that our schools are doing everything they can to ensure student safety? That really hit home when the number one issue that came up, from a student was safety. So.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, that particular policy 3201, I wanted to make sure it aligned with state law because there were some legislative changes, and I did not want to impose upon what the will of the commission. And as that discussion goes, we can always bring this policy back up for further revision.
Mr. Chair, if there's no other comments from any of our colleagues, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve recommending all of these policy updates to the board for their approval.
Great. I second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And all of the policies that the general counsel noted for proposed changes are recommended to the full commission.
In fact, I guess the only thing that I would note just for tomorrow, this will, because they were all approved as one vote, I will place them on the consent agenda for the presentation to the full commission.
Great, thank you very much.
I'm sure the whole commission appreciates that.
The next item
Yes.
on our agenda today is a discussion regarding the election of officers for the commission pursuant to TCA 49-13-105 and the commission policy 1.100. The chair and the vice chair are officers of the commission. The terms of the chair and vice chair are for 3 years, and in January, the commission voted to extend the terms of the current chair and vice chair until the end of their appointments. As those appointments expired on June 30th, it is now time for new nominations and elections. This committee is charged with facilitating the election of officers, and I would like to exercise the discretion of the chair to move this item before the full commission for discussion and consideration. As this committee's chair, I'll facilitate the nomination and election process at our quarterly meeting tomorrow. Do any commissioners have any questions before I ask for a motion to proceed?
I'll make a motion to proceed.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we'll proceed accordingly. Thank you all for your attendance and participation at this meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee. You're welcome. Thank you. The Tennessee Public Charter School Commission. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any final comments other than that one that you just made. If there are no further comments, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The next meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Governance Committee is scheduled for September 21st, 2023. We are adjourned.